right in front of the president. Then, that in itself portends a risk for this nation. Do you see that risk as a political risk analyst?
That's a loaded question. Now, politicians will always be politicians. Most of them are reckless. As Arnold Maliba has demonstrated, you did pose a question, and he decided to beat around the bush. He didn't answer, although he spent a lot of time. But you raised very fundamental issues. When you're talking about abductions, the people who have actually said that the abductions in Kenya, and then others have said that there's something similar to abduction which has taken place in Kenya. But in my view, the description doesn't matter. There are people who have not been with their families for days on end. And you recall when you're sworn in as the president of Kenya, you swear to protect lives and property within the territory of Kenya. So anybody within the territory of Kenya, any human being, and anybody who's got a property in Kenya has got a valid expectation that the administration of the day will protect them. So we can go around small circles, but the back in Kenya stops with President William Samoei Ruto. However, with the 2010 Constitution, we've got institutions which are responsible. So in this case, it's the National Police Service. So Kenyans have got a very valid expectation that the leadership of the National Police Service will actually come and give us a state of abduction to establish material facts, whether in fact we've had abductions in Kenya. Now, if we have not had abductions in Kenya, then what has been going on? Because again, we live in an era of misinformation and disinformation, but the material facts. The clip you played earlier on says that these boys have been missing in action. They were dumped in the morning, others found their way to discourse, but they've not been with their families. So to avoid misinformation and disinformation, Kenyans have got a valid expectation that the Inspector General will come and offer clarity. Now, the administration says there's not been any abduction in Kenya. Part of the society says that there's been abduction. So whom are we going to trust? Even, yesterday when the media reported that the people who are described as being abducted have been released, people cast aspersions on the capacity of the media in Kenya to do actual news. So they actually waited for the people who have been released to come and face the media. So this abduction, it raises fundamental issues. There are, first of all, there is a freedom of expression. Are you going to be penalized for freedom of expression? There is freedom of association. Are you going to be penalized for freedom of association? There is now the trust issue that for some reason, and you're part of the media in Kenya, that there's a good number of the Kenyan populace that don't even trust the local media, that they now have to go to CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, and confirm what is happening locally. Does it mean that part of the journalists in Kenya have undergone compromised training, or their training has been, or rather, their reporting has been compromised, that when a particular media house covers a story, people sit back and say, wait a minute, is there mischief in this story? So in my view, this conversation around abduction must be addressed comprehensively by the Inspector General of Police. He must give us a substantive statement to offer clarity. Number two, the relevant committees of our houses, the Senate and the National Assembly, by now they should have invited the Cabinet Secretary responsible, the leadership of the National Police Service, and grill them, not in camera, but in public view. Okay. In fact, if they don't do this, we seek to degenerate. There are some countries in West Africa where people don't abduct, people expressing their political positions, but they go for business leaders, they go for corporate leaders. Okay. So in that part of the world, abduction has become a business. Okay. Now,
this must hold that thought, because I think it's time for us to take a break. It's top of the hour, exactly 7 a.m.